So we're going to look into our insert into statement here. Before that, let's review our create table statement for customer notes. So we have a primary key that's a composite primary key made up of the customer number and the note number. So we're going to use that in turn, on at least the customer number, to foreign key off into the customers table. Notice the constraint here. Customer notes, foreign keys off into customers. Are the foreign key that we're coming from, this table column, the customer number, references the customer's table and the customer numbered column in that table. That puts a constraint on the other table, on the customer's table. That is, this row must exist when the row is inserted, and it can't be deleted or modified later. So that relationship maintains intact. Composite key defined here. Then we have a note, varchar not null. Here's our definition of the primary key, again composite, and then we declare an index on the note, giving it a name here. So now our insert statement. Insert into the table name, customer notes in this case, and then a list of values we want to insert here. Customer number, note number, note, and then the values list, values, and then each row separated by parentheses, comma separated list. This these values that we're inserting into the row match up positionally with the values that are expressed here. Now, since all of these values need to be expressed in this table, not null for the primary key, the two components of the primary key, and of course the note itself is not null, all of the values that are columns in this table are required here. In a bit, I'm going to redefine this table and show a couple of values that that have default values that don't need to be defined into this insert statement. Because we drop the table before we create the table, we can recreate this many times. So I'm going to try some errors here. That is, if I leave this out, or I default the value, say I try to insert a null at this point. So that insert is rejected because note can't be null. Let's give note a default value. And nonsensical in this case. Oh, I know it. There I was explicitly putting null value in that column rather than the default value. And now we have it. So we have a not null column, but it has a default fallback saying not a note. Not that reasonable in this case to have a default value, but just to show you how it works. All right, let's take a look at some auto-generated columns now. So I've redefined this table in a few ways. One, I wanted to show you how this type of primary key, which you'll see a lot, and you'll see a lot because a lot of automated tools want this type of primary key. This is an artificial primary key. It's generated within the database. It's an auto increment. It's going to become an auto increment primary key, and that is starting out and counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with each row insert. Now there's different ways you can specify the auto increment primary key to start at a different value, to increment by 5 and leave gaps in it. Here I'm just taking auto increment, which will start out counting 1, 2, 3, 4 with each row insert. The primary key artificially, that is, it's not related to the data, it's just a counter that MySQL maintains. That's guaranteed a primary key that's unique. So it fulfills the role of a primary key. I left customer number and note number there. Really the columns working the same, but they're just no longer used as the primary key. Look at here where I've described the primary key. I've done a couple of things here. I changed the primary key to be defined on the customer notes ID, the auto increment counter here. So that creates a primary key artificially again. And because I put the keyword constraint in front of it now instead of just the bare primary key, I can give it a name. primary key, pk underscore customer notes. Nice naming convention. I think it's nice to have every element of your database with an explicit and programmer-controlled name. So customer number and note number work the same in terms of column. They're just no longer the primary key. And then the note here as well. I've created a couple of other columns that are automatically done, automatically maintained by the database. And two that you'll see commonly in commercial and production databases, a create date and a modified date, both with the value data type of date time. And this has a default value, current timestamp. So when this row is created, the current timestamp of the server will be inserted for this value here. Modified date will stay empty or null on the creation, but if the row is modified sometime later, then the modified date will be automatically updated with the modified date. So you'll see create date and modified date a lot in production code, so I wanted to include them here, as well as showing the behavior of 3 automatically generated by the database rows. Now, you can overcome them here by inserting a primary key here. You can name the primary key and insert it here. Not a good idea. So you can do that, and you can also insert create date and modify date, but this is designed to set up and allow MySQL to maintain these values, and you should stick with that design. All right, so that's insert, and we'll see some more about data modification in the table next.